Hey, Eddie and Zotto Smashing Bricks, a retro gaming podcast and a retro gaming YouTube channel. I'm here today with another read through. This time we're going to start the Nintendo Power Magazine series. And we're starting with, you guessed it, Volume 1. This is from July/August 1988. And this one actually was sent out for free. This one went out to all the little boys and girls who had signed up for the Nintendo Fun Club as a less of a journalistic publication than just a full-length feature advertisement. That's what Nintendo Power was. And that was fine with us. I mean, I was just a little kid at this point, so what do I know? What I did know was this is great. So Super Mario Brothers 2. I actually didn't have this one. I didn't get them until a little bit later around the Ninja Gaiden 2 strategy guide episode. But that's okay. So here's the cover. A lot of the early ones, they did this sort of clay sculpture, and then they took photos of it, I think. So this is meant to replicate the front box art of Super Mario Brothers 2, which will be our first episode coming up here real soon on the Smashing Bricks podcast. We're going to be doing a deep dive and retrospective on Super Mario 2. Okay, so anyway, here we've got a 20-page spectacular on Super Mario 2. We're going to talk about Zelda, the second quest, and some baseball games. Second page here, we've got the Powerline. This, I remember I had this memorized, but I didn't call it because this one was the long distance number. I don't know if you weren't around back then. There was a thing called long distance phone calls where you had to pay per minute, kind of a lot of money, to make a call out to, I guess, Redmond, Washington. And man, these people who were working on this power line were there from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. That's crazy. Okay, moving in. Welcome. So this is the premiere issue of Nintendo Power. Interesting. Premiere is spelled like that and not like premiere like the first one. That's okay though. So this is just a little note they have here at the beginning telling you what to expect from the magazine. They talk about Pack Watch, which tells you to look out for the latest, greatest hits. Counselor's Corner, the gameplay counselors. Classified information for secret passwords. When video games had passwords and codes, and I guess some tips maybe were in there too. Now playing, NES Journal, NES Achievers, the Video Spotlight, the Top 30, which later expanded to a Top 50, I think, maybe even more than that. Okay, and then they, of course, mention how you can subscribe. Speaking of which, you should subscribe to this channel. Give us a like and a thumbs up and subscribe so you can watch future magazine read-throughs, and also go over and follow the podcast on your podcast listening platform of choice. All right, into the contents. I guess we don't need to go through the contents. We'll get there eventually. Although I do like the colors in here. I really like the design of their table of contents. Okay, so this is their Super Mario Brothers 2 spread. Mario's back in action. You ready to help conquer 7 worlds with the help of Mario and his 3 friends? I love that it's just his 3 friends. So they go through the story here, talking about when he gets to the world of dreams, the land of Subcon, and then it gives you a little glimpse into choosing your character, talks about them. Average jumping, loses a little bit when he carries. Luigi's greatly weakened by carrying, but he can jump forever. Toad's the worst jumper, but weight of items doesn't bother him at all. And Princess can float. Alright, this goes through how to play, which basically we did in the instruction manual in the last video. So we can kind of skip over that. I could leave this up on the screen for a little. You could always pause. You know how to read. Defeating our enemies shows us different ways. So they really just kind of do a lot of the same stuff that they're telling in the instruction booklet. Because again, this is just kind of advertising for the game. So this tells you you'll discover 16 items. They'll help you. Wonderful. I feel like my whole life is Super Mario Brothers 2 right now. All right, and again, the enemies. And no misprint here. Birdo is Birdo. And Ostro is Ostro. And Big Boss Wart. Interesting illustration. They are at the Olympics for some reason. Super Mario Bros. 2 Sports Festival. Our 4 competitors are showing their talents. Mario is the best all-around athlete. Luigi is a world-class jumper. Oh, that's funny. Okay. High jumper. Princess excels the long jump, and the tiny Toad is super strong. He's throwing a shot put. All right, then they jump into some of these maps. And man, these screenshots are so interesting. This isn't a great copy of the PDF, but all of these screenshots back then had to be shot with a camera. You can find this on archive.org, by the way. This is kind of freely available. But one cool thing about Nintendo Power that they always did was they had these maps. They would just go screenshot by screenshot. And what I love about it is you always see like Mario here in each, you see him multiple times on the map because they had to play through the game and just like let him stand there and then take the shot. Man, but this is really cool. Shows all the big vegetables, the little vegetables, and where the potions are. And then secret hints. Tells you where to get the first mushroom. And goes on. And then on this page, oh, very cool. So they arrange these maps kind of spatially. And then you go up on the side from the vine and then up to where Birdo is. Really cool. And they do 1, 2 in much the same way. A couple of little specific tips like how to ride the flying carpet and how to escape from Phanto, what it's like inside a secret room inside the vase, or they call them jars, that's right. Some more secret hints. Definitely shows you where every single item is. Gives you tips on how to use bombs right. And then 1, 3. We've got right here. So this whole world 1 of Super Mario Bros. 2, is essentially a masterpiece. We'll talk about it on the podcast. But I just really love the design, especially of 1-1. It's brilliant. And like as a kid, you would never realize why it's brilliant. But as an adult, and especially as someone who had spent 10 years in games journalism, like playing tons of games, you get to understand like why game design, some design is better than others, and this game just really had good design. Man, taking us all the way to 2-1. We're into the desert. Very cool. I love how they really highlight some of the important aspects of each level. So, I said that this was mainly for marketing, but like it's very good as a walkthrough also. It's essentially a strategy guide when they do these full spreads like this. And also as a kid, I remember getting my Nintendo Power magazines and going through these maps, even for the games that I didn't play and could never get. We could only get so many games. I'm a kid. I can't buy anything. Whatever my parents are willing to get me, that's what I get, right? So I would go through these maps. And man, it just felt like you were there, like playing the game in a way. Because you were going through everything, and that's exactly what it is here with Super Mario 2. We'll scroll through. It goes all the way to 2, 3. Let's see, do they stop after this? Yeah, probably. And it is, right. So here we are looking at Zelda. This is the Legend of Zelda, and they're talking specifically about the second quest, which you only get to after beating the game. Or you just put in Zelda when you start the game, and you can start right away from the second quest, and it changes where certain things are, and it changes up the dungeons. And they're a little bit different. They're designed different. Like this one shows the letter E, right? Level 2, also different shape. They were shaped like the different creatures. One was shaped like a snake, one was shaped like a blah, 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 whatever they were. Now they're all different shapes. Oh, and this really goes through everything. 7, 8. Oh, no, they don't show you 8 or 9. 7, 8, or 9, they let you figure out on your own. That's kind of cool. I remember them doing stuff like that. They're like, in order to see the rest, you gotta play the game. Oh, and here a little coming soon for Zelda 2. I like that this was 1988. Zelda 2 came out in December of 1988. Oh, wow, and the whole overworld map. Very cool. Oh, I like this too. It has this buyer guy. That's funny. It shows all the different shops, and then, of course, points them out on the map. But it shows what they have and how much they cost, because some things cost a lot less at certain shops, and that's something you had to know or discover in The Legend of Zelda. One of the ones was the shield was super cheap somewhere. Yeah, see, it's $90 or $160 at another place. Okay, moving on. Baseball. Oh, the poster. That's interesting. This is a poster. Because every Nintendo Power back in the day had a poster. It was a threefold. It folded out of the magazine, and you could cut it out and put it up on your wall. And the early ones had no perforation. I remember that because I was not good at getting them out, and I wasn't like patient enough to use scissors half the time. So we have a baseball roundup of bases loaded, Major League Baseball, and RBI Baseball. Man, I find it difficult to separate a lot of these in my mind. I forget which one I was into. I want to say RBI Baseball, but looking at it, I couldn't say. Bases loaded looks pretty cool with that over the pitcher's mound view. Very TV-like. Super cinematic. But yeah, it does like this little comparison. That's pretty cool. Talks about how in RBI baseball you have professional players. I see Mark McGwire right there. Oh yeah. He was my favorite player in the 90s, I guess. All the 90s. As many of the 90s as I watched baseball, which was probably about half of it. Talks about team management in the different games. How you get like a certain number of substitutes in one, or I guess it doesn't really say a whole lot. It's not super in depth, but it's cool to have them all side by side. Man, I could sit here and just read every word of this. All right, here we go. Counselor's Corner. So the Counselor's Corner is where kids, be they real kids or just some of the staff writers, who knows? I don't know if we'll ever get to know that. If you wrote in a letter and had it answered in Counselor's Corner, you let me know. It's just like a question for like individual games, and then they go through and tell you how to do that thing. So, for example, we've Ghosts and Goblins. Is there a stage select? Also, how do I beat the Red Devil? Yeah, I think this is just sort of a way that they can say, oh, this is a lesser known thing about this game. Here, now you know it. But, like, I don't know if these questions were really from anybody. Ring King. While I'm playing Ring King, sometimes the letter P appears in the ring. What does it mean? Metroid. Metroid's one I want to do on the show. I want to play this game and do a podcast about it. That will definitely be on the docket. Maybe I should have my Nintendo Power ready, because I actually never beat Metroid. I barely even played the original Metroid. I have a hard time finding the power-up items. I usually get wiped out before I find them. Can you help? That's such a general question. They're just like, yeah, here's the whole map. I don't know if that's the whole map, but like it's a big portion of the map. Super Mario Brothers. Are there really unlimited 1-ups? These are just like shock and awe. These questions represent shock and awe. Oh, here we go. How to get the fireworks and what they mean. This is something that's not well known still to this day. The last digit of the timer gives you fireworks, 1, 3, or 6. Every explosion is worth 500 extra points. So if you jump at a 6, then you get a bunch of extra points. That's 3,000 extra points. Some advice for Kid Icarus. Rygar, a game that's sitting in my closet right now. I love that game. I should replay that. It may not be very good. Some games from my childhood I remembers liking a lot, but I know I was a baby. I was a child, so what do I know? And they're probably just terrible now. Castlevania. There we go. That's one that we're going to play. And Ikari Warriors. I'm not super into that. Mike Tyson's Punch Out. We just had a video on Instagram. I should put that up here on YouTube. Here. I've had several bouts with Tyson. However, I've never beaten him. Yeah, join the club, people. This is one of the hardest things to do, I think, for a lot of people. All right. Speak up. Counselor's Corner is all about questions you have concerning NES game packs. I love game packs as a concept, or as just the official name for the games. Cartridges. I wonder when they changed them from game pack to cartridge. Anyway, so there is a real address that you could address letters to. Okay, and Howard and Nestor, here we are. Howard Phillips became famous for his position at the company. He started out as a guy working in the warehouse, and he would often play the games. And then the story goes, he was just kind of noticed by Minoru Arakawa at Nintendo of America, and he was like, hey, you should be my consultant. Like, you're an American, play the games, let me know what you think. Will they be good for this country? What? Damn, talk about upward mobility in the 80s. Come on now. I love Nestor. He was like the kid, and Howard was like the adult. It was the sort of the relationship here. This is what, so like we were supposed to identify with Nestor. He's like, cool, I should be president. And then typical kid stuff. Have you found levels 8 and 9? Oh, I'm just messing around. I know where they are. Oh, I really don't know where they are. And then he tricks him into telling him. Because Howard Phillips knew everything. He was basically like the game master. Look at that. Level 8 is hidden second screen up, third from the right, under the tree in the path. Perfect. Wow, I didn't check that tree. Of course. It was so hard to find some of these things, you know, like burning with a candle, every bush on the entire map to figure out like if there was something secret there. Crazy. Well, that's cool. So basically this was just a fun little comic to give you another gameplay tip. And now we move straight into classified information. And we get ourselves a tip for ice hockey, a tip for Contra, the Konami code. Up, up, down, down, left, right, BA start. Who knew it? Everybody, I hope. Everybody knows that code. They make shirts with that code. They make bumper stickers with the Konami code. I don't know if we didn't call it the Konami code. We probably called it the Contra code. That was the main game that it was super used. I mean, it was indispensable for Contra. It might have been usable in, did they publish Life Force? I don't know. Gunsmoke. So another title screen code, Rad Racer, and Athena. Oh, this is great. I love this code. The Another World Circuit for Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. I was a big Mike Tyson's Punch-Out fan, if you couldn't tell. But this Another World Circuit was cool because while some of the other codes only brought you to either the major circuit or the world circuit or to Tyson, this one jumbled up the order in which you fight the enemies, the other boxers, and you just had to go through it that way. It was kind of like another master quest, second quest sort of thing. Codes for Arkanoid, Ring King. Ring King's another cool boxing game. I was into that. Ninja Kids. And wow, classified information is so long. They shortened it as time went on. All right, Double Dragon. This is another one we're going to do on the podcast. I like how every game got like a completely different layout. It was very appealing, like very artistic and really kid-centric. Like it was something that children wanted to look at, very colorful and like, pow, this is action, this is video games, you love this stuff. This just shows the different things you can do. Oh, this is actually really useful, how to do all the different moves in Double Dragon. A lot of them are kind of context sensitive, but that's cool. Okay, another set of maps here with the highlighted tips as they go on. Wow, were the levels really that short? I guess so, yeah, because you had to sit on a screen for a while and fight the guys before you can move on. Mission 2. Already, this game is getting hard as you're doing the vertical parts. Mission 3. And then we go into Abobo's cave. Very cool. Man, I can't wait to run through this game again. Start to finish, actually. Because, like, a lot of these games I played as a kid and I played them a lot, but you had to focus when you're a kid. It was, like, not as easy to beat games. And I'm sure I didn't beat a lot of these games, a lot of the library of games that I played. All right, moving on. Gauntlet. Nice double full page spread here. And then these top-down map views of Gauntlet, the different rooms that you have to go through to finish the game. And then straight into Contra as part of Now Playing. Is this all Now Playing? Yeah, so this whole section is Now Playing. Let me do another double page here for Contra. The jungle goes through the different levels, same thing. A little bit more detail about what you have to do, some strategy. And this one brings you right to the end of Zone 3, up this waterfall. And we got these game shows, Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy, which, I don't know, for some reason when I was a kid, I was really into these game show videos. I guess we were just into game shows back then. That was what we had. That was the thing. And I don't know if there is a whole lot of game show sort of television anymore. What is there? It's like Steve Harvey. What is it? Family Feud? And there's still Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune. But, yeah, there were tons of game shows and they were super good. We didn't have, what didn't we have? We didn't have reality TV. That didn't come around until The Real World and Road Rules in the 90s. All right, what's up next? Video shorts. I don't understand why they're called video shorts. The Now Playing section features every single new release video game that will be available or coming by the next issue. So, Double Dragon, Contra, Gauntlet, Wheel of Fortune, and Jeopardy. And now here's some more in the video shorts. Oh, I guess video games, video shorts. It wasn't video. I guess the use of the word then was pretty different because there's just no concept of sharing video. So it's like video games, video shorts. So Legendary Wings was coming in 1988. Iron Tank. Gunsmoke. I want to play that again. I was a huge fan of like Sunset Riders in the arcade a little bit later. But Gunsmoke, I don't know how much I played of that. Rambo. I had this game. And I didn't know what the heck to do, to be honest. I bet I would be able to figure it out now a little bit easier. Dragon Power. Don't know much about that. Metal Gear. Very popular video game franchise from Ultra. Ultra Software was good. Bionic Commando. This became a big deal. City Connection. Interesting sort of game. Kind of just driving like on platforms in the city. It was weird. Ikari Warriors. I think this was my friend George's. He'll be on the podcast. It was one of his franchises he was into. Like, I feel like when we talk about old games, he'll always be like, Ikari Warriors. And I'm like, I didn't play that. All right, Star Force. Star Force. Space Force. Freedom Force. So many forces. Pack Watch. So Pack Watch is cool because Pack Watch tells you the games that are coming up a little bit further out. So you kind of get, back then it wasn't like it became now or in the last decade, the previous decade, where you heard about games forever and constantly until their release. This was like, if you're lucky to hear about a new game, you're like, oh my God, that's coming. And then it just shows up. That's pretty cool. I mean, it was just a different experience. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. 1943 was solid. I think 1943 was a big improvement on 1942. Golgo 13, very interesting game that I want to replay. Zelda 2. I don't know. If you played Zelda 2, you know what I'm feeling right now. Endless levels of frustration. The game was so hard. Jackal, World Games. I played World Games a bunch, and speaking of a hard game, like, I didn't know what to do. I gotta jump back into that, see if it's a much easier experience than I remember. I remember being just impenetrable. RoboCop Blaster Master, that's an amazing game that's coming up. Some fighting golf, Xenophobe, Platoon, Marble Madness. I had that game. Another difficult game, but very cool. Also, it's one of those games where it's not about fighting and killing each other, which was kind of important when you're a kid. Like, parents were wondering, hey, why is there so much? Why is it always fighting? So Marble Madness was cool, and that one, I could play that today, and I think it would definitely hold up. Simon's Quest, there we go. Coming back to Castlevania. And California games. And Life Force, I loved Life Force. I gotta tell you, I played a fair amount of Life Force. Died a lot. Another one I want to try, get back in. Alright, so now we have the players poll. So this was a way that they would kind of get marketing info. Oh, wow, this one has someone's address. I guess we'll block that out. Oh, this is actually a lot of fun. We can see what this kid's favorite games were, right? Or let's see, answer the questions. So, okay, so this was a way to figure out what games kids were interested in, right? Why not? And then they're willing to give away, what, 10 games of your choice. So they give away basically 20 games, right? 10 games of your choice to one kid, and then Super Mario Brothers 2 to 10 kids. They give away 20 game packs. And they get all this information about how old their customers are, how long they've had their Nintendo, which games you like the most, which games do you want to see in Nintendo Power, which ones are you planning to buy, and your 5 favorite games. Let's see this kid's favorite games. Yeah, okay, so we can see it. So in order of preference, so let's start with number 38, because we're going to go from low to high. 38 is Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Number 43 is Karnov. Oh, I liked Karnov. I used to play that in the movie theater in my hometown too, the arcade machine. But that was a cool game. 44, he liked Kid Icarus. And then his number 2 game was Zelda. And his number 1 was Zelda 2. That's so funny. That's really funny because Zelda 2 wasn't out until December. This kid was 13 years old. And I guess he was excited. How do you like the premiere issue? It's great. I already have subscribed. I own 1 to 3 game packs. 0 to 6 months I've owned the system. Man, oh man, I used to fill these out every time. This is just really nostalgic checking this out. And then you send it in to Redmond, Washington. Winners will be selected in a random drawing a little bit later on Halloween-ish. Notified by mail. Very cool. I never won this, but I just thought it was a lot of fun to send that in. Putting the stamp on, sending it out. I was young. All right. NES Journal. So the NES Journal was kind of like a news section. And I think it often would talk about what was happening in Japan because, in the gaming world in Japan, because we didn't know about this. The internet wasn't invented. It was just like another world. But when we found out about, Dragon Quest 3, it was like, oh my God, I didn't even know they were making that game. Things like that. So they're saying this was released in February in Japan, and they expect total sales of 5 million. Anyway, it will be quite interesting to see the reaction of the US market once this game is converted into an NES game. That's interesting. They say converted into an NES game. So converted from a Famicom game to an NES game, even though it's the same hardware, basically. Because obviously the real thing is the localization. That would take a long time on a big RPG like that. Okay, the Players Forum. I actually don't even know what the Players Forum is. This talks about the arcade game Vindicators, some books, the official Nintendo Player's Guide, Zelda tips and tactics, just some stuff that's coming out. An event that Konami is having or did have, the Top Gun event. Oh, and then talking about movies. This is interesting. Vibes. Pee-wee's Big Top Pee-wee. That's funny. Oh man, I should show this to him. I worked with Paul Rubens. We worked together on Gotham for like 2 years. I worked on that show for all 5 seasons. We still talk every once in a while. 8 Men Out. Celebrity profiles. Okay, so this is where they talked about some celebrities and, asked them about what do you think of video games? Do you play? So Kirk Cameron, Candace Cameron, Hollywood family from the 80s, Growing Pains, and she was on Full House. Candace says she's rescued the Mushroom Princess in Super Mario Bros. Many times, but has yet to rescue Zelda, although she spends numerous hours attempting to do so. Kirk, on the other hand, has different obstacles to overcome. I'm having problems with getting past amoeboids in Gradius. I think I'll have to place a call to the game counselor soon. I think they contact their publicists and just said, hey, can we write this? And they read it and said, yeah, that's fine. Pay us. Pay us for the celebrity endorsement. That's what this is, really. Then we have the mailbox. I've read that Howard Phillips has close to 300 games for the NES. I'd like to know, is it possible for you to send me some of the names of the games he has? Also, are they ever going to be made available for the public? Oh, I almost forgot. Could you tell me the exact name of the theme song of Spy Hunter? That's an interesting letter. I could see that being legit. Be patient. There are already over 100 games for the Nintendo. The best of what Howard reviews will surely make it to the stores. By the way, the music from Spy Hunter is the theme from Peter Gunn. Dear Nintendo, if you're like I am, that is, crazy about martial arts, The Legend of Cage is the game for you. I don't see how they get all this fun and adventure in one game pack. In the game, you're Cage, a young ninja warrior. One dangerous task, to save the Shogun's daughter. Oh man, they just describe the whole game. Sound fun? Think you have what it takes? Purchase The Legend of Cage, a game which you will treasure. So weird. I mean, I could see a kid getting into it and writing it like that, but also I could see this just being all made up. Oh, here's a grandma. Our grandson received a Nintendo and games. He left his NES at the farm. So I've been playing. We played Super Mario Brothers, 1942, Commando, and Kung Fu. Uh, so Grandma plays the Nintendo when the kid's not around. Oh, but Chad took the NES home so he could play with his friends. And Grandma and Grandpa bought a second NES. Look, it shows your market potential. Such an interesting letter. It's like everyone wanted to work for them. It's like, you know what? Let me write you a really exciting piece about Legend of Cage. Hey, let me help you figure out how to market your things to grandmas. That's cool. Oh, Rygar. Here we go. Rygar has some of the best graphics Nintendo has ever used. The music and character interaction is so superb in this game. Music's appealing for the player and does not make he or she bored after lengthy play. To give a better sense of action in the game, the characters are animalized and have special, unique ways of moving around. There's also a wide variety of creatures so you don't get tired of the same ones over and over. Another very good point to mention are the different views in which Rygar, the main character, is shown. The two views used are the horizontal view and the view of looking down from the helicopter. Usually a game has only one view on the character, but Rygar shows the intensity of combination. In conclusion, Rygar to me is one of the better graphic games put out for the NES, and I would recommend it to anyone longing for action and adventure. Yeah, I mean, I could believe these are real letters. Metroid is one of the best games ever made, at least the most challenging. Anyone who plays this game cannot say it's easy. You really have to use your mind for this game. But then again, they're like also ads. Another great thing is you don't get many free weapons. You have to earn them. It's not easy to find them all. Keep making more games like this. A lot of players share your sentiments about Metroid. There are many secrets yet to be discovered. So if you find any new ones, be sure to let us know about them. Double Dribble. Double Dribble is super awesome. Just set the time per quarter, skill, level, and even team, and the game is at your fingertips. Every move is crucial. This game is hot. It's got everything as in real basketball. Free throws, block shots, switching defenses, rebounds, rim rock and slam dunks, and my favorite, three-point shots. Yeah! Very 80s. If the three-pointer goes in, it makes a big blast and the fans cheer in excitement. Shoot a desperation shot, and with the right touch, it will go in. The background cheer makes you hang from your seat. I would not trade this game for anything. It's my number one game. If this game was more realistic, you would be playing in the NBA. This game has improved my basketball skills. Honest. If you have the means, I recommend you pick this up. All right, here we are at the NES Achievers. These were kids, readers, I guess. When I think of Nintendo Power, the readership is always children. It's always like 5 to 15-year-olds in my mind. Anybody you know? Anybody from Colony, New Jersey? So we got high scores for 1942, Arkanoid Balloon Fight, Castlevania, Commando, Contra, Donkey Kong. So a lot, it's a lot of games. Oh, wow, including Cliff Bleszinski. Huh. I bet you know who Cliff Bleszinski is. If you don't know who Cliffy B is, he's a pretty famous game designer. And then here's how you send in your scores. Is this the one where they show you how to take a picture? Use a 35mm camera, turn off all the lights, make it nice and dark, and don't use a flash. Man. Those were the days. Film cameras, snail mail, getting your point score in a magazine, being a kid. Video spotlight. The spotlight's on you. These players wrote in to tell us about their video prowess. We think you'll agree they all qualify as power players. Oh yeah, this is great. So we go on to tell about how good we are at our video games. This one talks about his friend beating a bunch of games with a picture. This other kid's talking about his friend Mike, how he beat Mike Tyson. See? Be ready to dodge. Yeah, obviously. I feel I'm a very good player. I had 160 extra men in Super Mario Brothers. Jeez, that is good. Oh, a lot of these kids talking about their friends. So a lot of different letters from kids. Here's the top 30. This is cool. This is what I always was super into. Where do the games rank? Right? You want to know what's the best game? We still do this today. Top 10 lists on the internet. Top 20s, top 30s. I mean, we do this with everything. Billboards, awards shows. That's basically like what this is like the billboards. It comes out routinely. A game can sit at number 1 for so long. Obviously, Legend of Zelda is number 1. Punch-Out 2, Metroid 3, Mario 4, Kid Icarus 5, RC Pro M6. Yeah, I mean, this all makes sense to me. Went all the way down to 30. Mega Man on there at 17. Excite Bike at 18. Ghosts and Goblins. Who's a Ghosts and Goblins fan? It's a good game, but super hard. Rygar. Rounding it out. Oh, and here we go. So the combined rankings of these 3 lists become the main top 30. That's interesting. So players' picks, they said Punch-Out. The pros' picks, I guess that's probably the staff of the magazine. Editors' picks, they put Zelda, Metroid. And then dealers' picks. I wonder how they come up with that. Maybe that's the order. They get this number from the number of orders of that game divided by 10,000. It's sales numbers. Very interesting. I like the players' picks. That's the kids, what the kids are excited about. But really, the pros' picks is probably where you would get the best info of what's a good game. All right, next issue. Next issue, we got Simon's Quest, Bayou Billy, Bionic Commando, and there's a little letter from Howard Phillips. Hope you enjoyed reading the first issue of Nintendo Power as much as we enjoyed making it. We spent many hours doing research, playing games, in order to bring you the most complete reviews, the best tricks, and the raddest reading ever. I even jetted to Japan for a week to work with our Nintendo Power staff over there. You try to explain Wheel of Fortune to someone who doesn't speak English. It was great to make new friends and to meet some pretty hot game players too. Maybe we'll even profile a few of them in a future issue. Nintendo Power will come out every other month, and we want to provide you with the very best in video journalism. We've discontinued the Fun Club news so that we can devote all our energy to making Nintendo Power the best magazine you could ever subscribe to. What could be more fun? So, if you have an opinion about something or a hot tip you want to share, we'd like to hear about it. See you in September. Howard Phillips. P.S. I'm working real hard on Zelda 2. Look for it. It's going to be great. And then the subscription card. And the only ad for their own magazine. And the back shows all the games that are out right now. 4 times 14. It's about 60 games, 56 games. I wonder how many games are actually out right now. The response, the Be Patient response said there are over 100 games. Man, imagine a time when there were over 100 games, but not 150 games. There's some number between 100 and 120 games in existence. That's awesome. That's what we lived through. The resurrection of the video game industry. Started right there with the Nintendo Entertainment System and game packs. Alright, so that's Nintendo Power, Volume 1, July/August 1988. The beginning of something fantastic. $3.50 at the newsstand. And what was it for a subscription? $15 for, 6 issues? Save $6 off the cover price. Yeah. Cool. Even still, like buying the 6 issues for $21 throughout the year, definitely worth it. Man, I wish I still had all of them. All right, my friends. We'll see you next time when we do another one of these Nintendo Power Volume 2 for September, October 1988. All right, I'll see you next time. Until then, you have fun.